Hey guys, so we talked about how do we graph in the last video. So if both of our equations are in slope-intercept, meaning y is by itself, things are pretty easy, right? We can use our calculator. But what happens if we don't have both equations in slope-intercept form? What happens if only one is in slope-intercept form? So this is where we have one of two ways we can do this. One is called substitution. So I'm going to show you substitution straight up. But then I also want to remind you, you can also use graphing, but it takes a little bit of work. So I want to show you both methods. Okay, so let's think about this problem. Here's the deal. This equation is in slope-intercept. This one is not. It's in standard form. So what can we do? Well, one thing we do is we can use substitution. Meaning if y is 8x plus 12 up here, it's the same thing down here. So what we're going to do is say, well, if y equals this up here, it equals the same thing down here. So I can just write this equation, negative 8x plus 3, but instead of writing y, I'm going to use a parenthesis, and I'm going to put all of this in there. So 8x plus 12 equals 4. Okay, so now I have an equation where I just have x, and I can solve this like no problem, right? So remember, first thing I'm going to do is distribute. So I'm going to distribute the 3 and include its sign, which is a positive this time. It doesn't make a difference this time, but it will if it's a negative, so don't forget your sign. So I have negative 8x, then I'm going to take 3 times 8x, which is 24x, and then 3 times 12, which is 36. And that still equals your 4. All right, remember, now I'm going to find my like terms. So I've got a like term here and a like term here. So I'm going to combine these two, negative 8 and 24, 16x? Yeah, plus 36 equals 4. Keep solving like normal. Move your 36 over. This is going to be 16x equals, that's going to be a negative 32. I'm going to divide it and say, great, x is going to be a negative 2. Remember, that's how you get your first term. And then from there, if you need your y, take this and plug it back in. So remember the hint, plug it in here. So I plug it in here. 8 times negative 2 is going to be a negative 16 plus 12, which is 4, right? So just like always, second step, plug it back in. But this is the idea of substitution. However, a lot of you guys said you did not like this method. So I want to show you how can we solve something like this without using this method. Well, the second idea is to go back to graphing. I can graph this like normal. I can only graph things when they're in slope-intercept form, meaning y is by itself. So here's the second option. What you can do is take this second equation and convert it to slope-intercept form. Remember how to do this. Same steps. First step, always move the x term by doing your inverse. So I'm going to add 8x. To both sides. All right, 8x and 8x go away. 3y comes down. Remember, you cannot combine these. One has an x, one does not. So we just write them next to each other. Typically, we write the x term first and the number in the back. But if you put 4 plus 8x, it's not going to hurt anything, really. All right, second step always. Divide by whatever is with y, that coefficient. And leave this as a fraction because that's going to be easier to put into your calculator. So reduce if you can. That won't reduce. Leave it alone. That won't reduce. That's fine. Leave it alone. So this is your new equation in slope-intercept form. Now you can take this equation and put it into your calculator just like we did before. All right, so this is what we do if one equation is in slope-intercept, the other one is not. I hope this helps. All right, love you guys. Bye-bye.